Hello everybody and welcome back to the second shelf. If you're watching Booktube regularly, you are seeing at the moment these end of the year tags kind of popping up, and I was like, what? But then I realized 7 weeks and we are in January, first weekend of January. So of course I had FOMO, but I didn't quite like the questions of the tag. So I thought, well, I can just make a video about the books that I'm planning on reading till the end of the year, in addition to, buddy reads that I have or books that I pick just in the spur of the moment. But there are a couple of plans that I had for 2021, and I'm not gonna look at how I did, but there's a couple of things that I thought I definitely want to use the next 6 weeks or 6.5 weeks until the 31st of December in order to read these books. And of course, then I want to share this with you. And the first thing are 2 books that you picked. You might remember that I did a video, sort of the Mooks and Gripes bucket list tag, but I butchered it. I made it fit to my demands. And the gist of that video, I will leave a link down below if you haven't watched it and are interested, is that I picked books, 10 books that have been on my shelf unread for a long time, and I asked you which books do you want me to read still in 2021. So 2 books, and there are 2 winners. It was quite close, by the way, but the book that got the most votes is Carol Shields' short story collection, Dressing Up for the Carnival, published in 2000, I believe. Yeah, it's just, as always, I have to look at the thingy. And you know that Carol Shields is an author that I really, really like. I haven't read all of her work. It might be, spoiler alert, a project for next year, to have an author spotlight on her and try to read everything that I haven't read yet in chronological order. We'll see. But you picked this short story collection, and I will read this one in November, so this month. And the other book, the second winner, was Sarah Hall, How to Paint a Dead Man, published in 2010. It's about art, it's about artists, and you, like I did, you thought that sounded interesting, so that's what you voted for, and I will read this one probably in December. I don't think that I will have time to read it in November, but I will certainly finish it before the end of the year. So these are the 2 books that you picked that I will finish before the end of the year. And I already mentioned Author Spotlight. Yes, my this year 2021 Author Spotlight is George Eliot, and I said that I would read all her books that I haven't read yet, not necessarily in chronological order, but just all her novels. I want to say not all her books. So in November, you saw in my Friday Reads, if you watched this, that I already started The Mill on the Floss, which was published in 1860, about 2 siblings, a boy and a girl, Maggie and Tom, set in the 1830s-ish, but spanning 10 or more years. And that is one of the books that I haven't read yet, one of her novels. And the other one is Felix Holt, The Radical, published in 1866. And it's about Felix Holt, and it's set in also 1830-ish, and it's about the Reform Act. But it's Kim from Middle of the Book March made a wonderful review, because she had already read the book, that it sounds very dry and political, the Reform Act. Who wants to read a novel about that? But as it is George Eliot's talent, of course she then talks about family and coming of age or coming into your being. So I'm very much looking forward to that one, because it's Yeah, something different, I think, from her usual. She's not political, George Eliot, or was. That's not what I wanted to say, but that she's focusing so much on a specific political issue, a topic like the 1832 Reform Act. That's something different. But those two, Mill on the Floss, I have already finished. Spoiler alert. So that's my November book, and Felix Holt I will read in December. And then I will have completed the Author Spotlight 2021 George Eliot. But I also had an Author Spotlight 2020, and somebody who wrote more books than than George Eliot did, even though George Eliot's books are quite chunky. So, I mean, this could count easily for 2 books. But my 2020 Author Spotlight was Louise Erdrich. And I started together with Terry from Terry Talks Books. I will leave her Instagram page. She's still sort of kind of sometimes active on Instagram, so I will leave that down below. She used to have make Booktube videos, maybe come back next year, I hope, fingers crossed. But we started this project together last year, 2020, and read all 16 novels that Louise Erdrich published in chronological order, ending with The Night Watchman, which was her last book, that she won, and she won the Pulitzer. Was it the National Book Award? No, the Pulitzer for. But a new book has come out, The Sentence, just now, a couple of days ago, beginning of November. And because we are sort of still in that project, I asked Terry whether she would be willing to read that book with me. And she said yes. And she ordered the book, and I ordered the book, and she has the book, and I don't have the book because it's not available for me at the moment. I mean, I could order it from the US, but the shipping is just horrendous. And I could buy it as an ebook, but I don't really like to read that kind of general fiction, literary fiction, as an ebook. So Terry has agreed to wait, but I will give it a week or 2. And if it's not available, then I will, just buy the ebook. So that is certainly something that I will finish before the end of the year. And then, Louise Erdrich is still young, so she's probably going to go on publishing. And I will probably, continue with this project, I guess, to read also her upcoming books. But for now, for this year, then this will be the last, and then I will have finished that Author Spotlight 2020 and the Author Spotlight 2021. In addition to the Author Spotlight 2021, George Eliot, and like I said earlier, spoiler alert, I will continue with the Author Spotlight thing. I really like it, and I'm not going to pick an author, like Joyce Carol Oates. That doesn't make sense. It takes you 10 years, and you will never be able to keep up because she puts out 3 books every year, and I'm not that interested in her anyway. But there are authors that you actually can manage. And like I said earlier, Carol Shields is a good candidate for the Author Spotlight 2021. But if you have other suggestions, female authors only, of course, let me know. But anyway, so the Author Spotlight, but I also had a Genre Spotlight 2021. Because I really wanted to read science fiction, also some modern classics that I had missed. And like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm not going to talk now about how I did, but the plan is to read at least one more sci-fi book before the end of the year. And I'm not 100% sure yet, but I think I want to read Becky Chambers' new book in the Wayfarer series, because I really love that series, which came out earlier this year, The Galaxy and the Ground Within. I just love the way she tells a story. I mean, from the first book, Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, and then A Close and Common Orbit, The Spaceborne Few. I'm not a space opera fan normally, but she has this way of delightful storytelling, I would say, that I think I'm in the mood for something like that. And this one is set on a planet that is called a truck stop. So there's nothing going on there except that there's a kind of a truck stop restaurant run on the planet where you can, have something to drink if you are so inclined, stretch your legs if you have any. And then, of course, something happens and people are stranded on that planet. And it just sounds like something that I would enjoy to read before the end of the year. Something lighthearted. And as Terry, whom I mentioned earlier from Terry Talks Books, she read it already and she really loved it. And we briefly talked about it, and she rightfully said, I am so over all the dystopian stuff. And I mean, I love a good dystopian, don't get me wrong. But sometimes, especially when the world outside is maybe more dystopian than you'd like, you're just in for some good, solid sci-fi, adventure. So I think I will probably pick this book, Galaxy and the Ground Within, for my final sci-fi read of the year 2021. And there's also one challenge that I do every year, and that is the Reading Women Challenge from the podcast Reading Women, run by Kendra Winchester, or founded by Kendra Winchester, and now run by a group of people. And I will leave a link, of course, down below. And they do podcasts, Reading Women. I mean, they do interviews and podcasts, but they also have a challenge each year, the Reading Women Challenge, and there are 24 prompts. And I always do it. They come up with wonderful ideas, and it really expands my reading horizon because I have to look for books. And what I always do when it's so many prompts in the first couple of months of the year, I just read what I would read anyway, and then I see which prompts I can cross out, and then they're always like, I don't know, 2/3 left, or half of the prompts are left. And then in the second half of the year, I really do an effort to complete the prompts because I'm a completist. So once I started, I damn well want to complete the challenge. And I never do the bonus thing where you have to read certain authors, because there are a lot of times there are authors that I either have read and decided they are not for me, or that I have no intention of reading. So I don't do that. I have to admit it. But the regular quote unquote prompts I do, and I finished all of them, 23 of them, except one. And there's the prompt is read a cookbook by a woman of color. I'm not into cooking. I don't read cookbooks. So first I thought maybe I'm just reading a memoir. I was looking for a memoir maybe by a female chef or something. But then I thought, oh, come on, doesn't really interest me. I'm not a foodie. I mean, I love to eat. I'm just not a foodie in terms of cooking and, But then I found a cookbook. When I was Googling it, I came across Edna Louise. And yes, I didn't know her, even though she is obviously one of the most famous and influential chefs of the United States. And she is from the southern the US, and she promoted Southern cooking. And the book I picked is called Southern Cooking, I think, or something like that. The Taste of Country Cooking, almost. The Taste of Country Cooking, which was published in 1976 originally, and this is a new version. And I thought, well, I'm going to learn something also about this woman, who I think is fascinating. And I will not read the book cover to cover, but I will flip through, and I'm not going to cook the recipes. No. That's not what I'm doing. But I will certainly read the book. It sounded interesting enough, and I'm a completist, enough of a completist that I will buy this cookbook for myself for Christmas, and I will read it over Christmas. And then the last thing that I also try to do, and like I said, we will see beginning of next year how well I did. That is Mel's book club, Read Around the World book club, which was originally on Goodreads, and then she changed it to her blog. But the the gist of the book club is still the same. She picks a book by a female author from a different country each month. And in December, it's, you know, Cloak and Dagger, Mystery Month. And she picked, and I have to look that up because Angela McColva read Ink, published in 2007. It's a mystery. And McColva is a South African author. And in her newsletter, Mel said that she was the first Black woman, South African woman, to publish a mystery. So that sounds fabulous. I love a good mystery, and I'm not doing the Cloak and Dagger thing, I think, in December, but this book sounds interesting enough, and I want to at least complete the last challenge. I did already do the November book, by the way. But for the rest, we will see in January how well I did with the Read Around the World book club. But let's finish strong and read the last book. So these are some of my reading plans. I mean, the more, you know, fixed reading plans that I have, that I want to complete towards the end of the year. And I'm really looking forward to that. And of course, to all the other books that I will read, you know, impromptu until the end of December. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I'm looking forward to your comments, and I'll see you all soon in the next one.